Greetings, magical souls. I have finally gotten around to getting my shadow work video out, or should I say my using cards to do shadow work out. It's been a bit of a thing, because as I wanted to do this, I hit another sort of mini dark night of the soul, and it was quite funny how the video was almost it was a trigger into another lot of shadow work for myself. So yeah, quite ironic. Anyway, I have prepared a little reading. It was really hard for me to try and do the reading, and I stumbled because you almost can't show what the cards are. So I used the opportunity when I was feeling a bit niggled by something, but I didn't really know what it was, to do the cards, but I recorded it, and that's what I've shared with you. So really, in just to start out, is that tarot is a tool to get to know yourself, to get to know the parts of yourself that might be hidden, i.e. the shadow self. So and I stumbled across it quite by accident one day when I was trying to do some shadow work, and I was following some prompts, because that's really what you can do. You can get loads of prompts off the internet, and you can use certain tools. There are things that you can get hold of to do really quite in-depth shadow work. But what I'll do is I'll put all the links in the description box. Funnily enough, the other day they actually sent an email around saying, here are some ways to start doing shadow work. So shadow work for beginners. So it seems to really be a theme at the moment. I think as we're all sort of trying to clear our stuff out and evolve into the next version of ourselves, and to lighten our load, and to look at our programs and our limiting beliefs and all that kind of thing. I think a lot of people are being called to almost unburden themselves and free themselves, and look at their shadow and transmute it, into something that is lighter, and a friend, because it is part of all of us. And it really is just, to me, it's always been, when you're pushed into these areas of discomfort, it is the soul trying to sort of almost move you into that next place and get you to look at something deep inside that you can release or transmute or understand, whatever term that you really want to give it. So as I was saying, I stumbled across this sort of technique quite by accident when I was trying to do some shadow work, and I was really battling with something, and I was trying to follow a couple of prompts that I had in a book, and I just couldn't. My head was just getting in the way, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna pull some cards. I'm gonna have a cup of tea, and then I'll come back to this. And it was so funny, because the whole time I was shuffling the cards, I was obviously thinking about the thing that was bugging me, but I didn't know what the thing was at the time. And when I pulled out the cards and I was looking at the cards, I realized afterwards that I hadn't actually asked a question like I would normally ask. And as I was looking at the cards, I realized that a whole lot of stuff started to come up as I was looking at the imagery of the cards. And by the end of this little so-called tea break that I was having from my shadow work, I had ended up doing the shadow work. So the cards for me, I mean, because tarot really is a tool to get to know yourself and just to bring out what is hidden, it was really quite profound. And I thought, wow, what an amazing way, when you're asking yourself these questions and you don't quite know, you might just go, what does my shadow need me to know today? And it's really hard, because you're feeling uncomfortable about something. You're feeling like there is something that is coming up, or something that needs your attention and your awareness. It's coming to the conscious, but they can be really, really helpful, because if you don't sometimes, oh, it's the issue with my ex that's come up, or oh, it's something from my childhood, or it was this relationship, or it's this thing around money that I've always had. But sometimes you just get niggled and you don't actually know what it is or why you are niggled. So if you are there and if you are wanting to do shadow work, this is a really it's a fun way, but it's a really powerful way of actually, almost unpacking what's there. Something's there, but you don't quite know what it is. So yeah, it's the discomfort is it's also something that I think people need to be aware of, because how many times have we been uncomfortable in our lives and gone, you speak to somebody and they go, at the time when I was getting divorced, I thought I was going to die and I thought I'd never recover from it, but looking back, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I often think that shadow work is like that, because you are uncomfortable, you can be really unhappy and really riled up and really almost despairing. But when you get on the other side of it, you realize how transformative it is and how expansive it can be doing the work. So the shadow is nothing to be feared. I mean, I'm not going to go into the shadow here. I did it in another video, which I'll also link here. But it's all a part of us. It's all these hidden and maybe unloved and, sort of ashamed parts of us and things like that. But everything, as we're moving now into this new era and this new earth and into this new vibration, it's really important that we clear these things. So if you've got a pack of cards lying at the back of your cupboard, I encourage you to go get them out. I'm also just going to put a disclaimer in here that shadow work is I have this belief that you're never really given more than you can handle. And if you are being propelled into this area of discomfort, your soul knows what you can handle. But at the same time, if you are feeling fragile and you are, sort of, it might be, you don't want to do something that's going to push you over the edge, or do something that's going to make you sort of do harm to yourself. So I would encourage you to just follow what your gut says. If you feel you need somebody to help you with this kind of thing, then of course you can reach out to a psychologist, a spiritual coach, an energy healer, a good friend, whatever the case is. But it's also, don't you don't need to feel ashamed or I don't know what the word is. You don't need to feel bad about needing somebody to talk to work through your shadow work, because at the end of the day, we are all walking one another home. So there are times when it's really helpful to bounce things off people and to just discuss things. And other times I find, sometimes I'll share things with my hubby or what have you, or maybe a good friend. And other times I really just want to be by myself and just, really go down into those deep, dark parts of myself. And sometimes it can feel quite lonely and it can feel really unsettling and it can be quite unnerving at times. But I think because I've been doing it for so many years, I'm kind of used to it. But even having said that, sometimes when it does come up like it did a couple of weeks ago, I did sort of go, oh, no, not again. I don't think I'm ready. I don't want this right now. Can I do this at another time? And of course it happens when it's going to happen. So I do believe our soul is in charge of that. So the messages really were also to remember that sometimes when we feel really beaten down and we feel like we're at rock bottom, we will then get something else thrown at us. And none of this happens randomly. If I look at my own journey, I really had to be down at rock bottom before I started sort of looking at the direction my life was going in. So just remember that you are the phoenix and you are strong, and you will rise from this. And I can just encourage you. I do find it funny with the cards, though, is because the last couple of readings that I've done for people as well, there's definitely been an element of something coming up for them that they didn't foresee, or they have not thought about for many years, or something that they've unpacked in my presence while we've done the reading. And I do find it quite interesting that using the tarot is such a good tool to almost dig into those deep parts of yourself that you might not know are there. And the fact that my last couple of readings, as I say, have almost allowed people to do shadow work, their little bit of shadow work, in that reading. And so, yeah, I think it's a really powerful tool. But I do hope you enjoy, and I'm happy to try and share some more things. So I do hope you enjoy. So just to save time, I did pick the cards. And so really, as I say, I had a niggle on my mind and I wasn't quite sure what was happening. So first card I did was, I said, what does my shadow want me to know? So when I pull this card, it's the Judgment card. I immediately go, okay, what am I in judgment of? Okay, am I in judgment of something? So that would be the first thing if I'm just reading it like this. If I want to read a little deeper, I know that the meaning of this Judgment card is sort of listening to the call of your soul's purpose. It can be independence, it can be hope, transformation. There's a couple of things that come in with the Judgment card. It can also be to gain insight, and it can be something of independence. But when I look at it, I go, okay, well, what does my shadow want me to know? And am I being judgmental? Where am I judging myself? And am I judging myself? And I go, okay, all right. So I'll leave that there. And then I go, right, what does my inner child want me to know? And then I get the Queen of Swords. Now, this here looks like she's quite serious. Swords are generally obstacles, and they are also mental things in the tarot. So this is, am I too stuck in my head? But also, is there something going on in the subconscious that I'm not aware of? And obviously there is, because that's why I'm here. But this tells me it's around some thoughts, more than maybe an issue, but possibly having negative thoughts, that kind of thing, having sharp thoughts. Are these thoughts harming me? Are they sharp? Are they helpful? So I go, okay, well, my inner child's almost alluding to the fact that maybe got some mental blocks, something going on in my subconscious that's not really helpful to myself. I also look at this and I see that she looks quite serious. So I go, okay, well, maybe I need to just relax a bit. So then I go, right, can I know a little bit more about this? What is it that I would need to, can you give me some more insight? Because obviously I know I'm niggled. I have an idea that it's something to do with negative thoughts or things that are going on in my head. And that there is somewhere that I'm judging myself, or I am being a little bit too harsh on myself, but there is something brewing here. So I said, what is it that I need to know? What is underlying this? It was almost like, okay, but I get this, but what is underlying it? Because I'm here because I don't bloody know. And then I picked the 10 of Pentacles. Now, this card to me is my first thing I get from this is Pentacles is a money card. Now, I don't know if you can see clearly, but there's all the pentacles. She's throwing them up around her. Now, when I saw this, I was suddenly struck with the realization that this niggle and this judgment of, and what is going on in the subconscious is around money, and I am worrying about money. And what's interesting is that she's in this beautiful color, and red is always a symbolic of passion, which ties back to this, almost following your life's purpose, heeding the clarion call, all that kind of thing. And also she looks very carefree. She's throwing her money around. She hasn't got a care in the world, as this one is very sort of stuck and stagnant. And so I go, okay, well, that's interesting, because the reason I say this is interesting is because when I pulled this card, I realized that in the day after that I resigned from my 3D job, I got 3 new clients in, and for the next week, I had those clients. The week after that, I was booked on a course, so I was obviously booked out. But in the 3 weeks since then, I haven't had a new client. Now, obviously, subconsciously, even though I've put money away and what have you, this is worrying me, and I haven't even realized that it was worrying me, but it's niggled. So I almost feel like my shadow is calling me to go, be aware that you are worrying about money, because we all know that when we worry about things and we have this lack, that we tend to push things away from us. As when I resigned from my job, I was almost going, hey, universe, catch me, I'm going to leave my job, whatever. And because of the place that I was in, I attracted 3 new clients. If I continue to worry about money, I'm going to push everything away. So I really need to watch my thoughts around money, because it is one of the areas that I, do need to work on, is my relationship with money. So that's really a very, very quick way to almost read the tarot, or use the tarot when you're trying to do shadow work. And to me, it kind of, I can tell the story afterwards, and I can look at the meanings of the cards and whatever. But when I say you don't really need to know the tarot to use the tarot cards, you can see how I'm really using the imagery or even the words on the cards. So this to me was, what am I judging myself? And the judgment comes from, oh, well, look, for the past, this is the, the sort of the part of the brain, the ego part of the brain, that nasty inner critic going, oh, well, you haven't had a client for 3 weeks and whatnot. But, as I've mentioned, the past 3 weeks, to be very honest, I don't know how I would have coped with clients, because I've been dealing with a lot. I had this whole almost mini dark night of the soul that came out. So everything is perfect for me at the moment, but I hadn't realized that why I was agitated is because I'm subconsciously worrying about money when I don't actually need to. So that's just a really, really, sort of, as I say, it's a very simple reading, but I had to do it authentically. This wasn't working for me when I was just trying to pick cards and go, oh, well, this is how I'd read it. I almost had to have an actual event happen to me so that I could share this. And then I just pulled 3 oracle cards, and I just chose the animal deck. And I mean, they could be anything, but this is further just going to illustrate how this would play out. So the first one that I drew was Panther Spirit. And if I look at that and I go, well, what does my shadow want me to know? To reclaim your power. So I could go, okay, well, all right, so reclaim my power. Am I giving my power away? Of course, by worrying, I'm giving my power away, by allowing these negative thoughts, I'm giving my power away. And I know that I'm on the right path. So reclaim my power. I know that the power is within me, and I know I'm on the right path. So I could read it simply like that, but I'm gonna get the book out shortly. Then the next one that I pulled, what does my inner child want me to know, was Moth Spirit, and it is surrender now. Now, what's about surrender? Well, it is about getting out of the head and trying to control everything. It is about surrendering to the process and trusting. Surrender is a trusting and an allowing events to unfold, and you're on the right path, but you can't control everything. So my inner child, and again with this beautiful red color, is almost going, you following your passion, you know what your passion is, so just surrender to it. Just stop being so in control and just lighten your grip a little bit. That's how I would have interpreted that. And then the last one, where I asked, what, can you give me a little bit more on this? What else is it that I need to know? I get this crow spirit, which is co-create with spirit. And I go, well, again, it's almost alluding to the, the surrendering, allowing the universe to allowing, I know I'm co-creating with spirit. That's why I got the 3 new clients when I resigned, because I was sending an energetic sort of wish out to the universe, or an intention out to the universe that I'm now resigned and I'm going to follow my path. And here is all this beautiful stuff. Now, so reading through the book, this one here, Panther Spirit, it takes courage to face challenges, and right now, Panther Spirit is here to say you are braver than you think. So if I asked my shadow self, what is it that I need to know today? It's that I'm braver than I think. Now is the time to take a risk and step into a different aspect of being. Speak as you've never spoken, act as you have always dreamed you might have the courage to act. Feel the adrenaline rush. Panther Spirit says the time for dreaming about what you want to do is giving way to that first courageous act to reclaiming your power. Your new identity may feel strange at first, but you have what it takes, and your soul wants this. Be bold. So isn't that a beautiful message for my shadow self to want me to know? My subconscious wants me to know that I need to be bold and I'm on the right path. Okay, so that's the first one. Then I said, what does my inner child want me to know? And the moth spirit asks, what is guiding you right now? Are you in alignment with spirit, or pursuing something with so much tenacity that it has become a compulsion or an addiction? Hard work and dedication are virtues and a beautiful thing. However, when moth spirit appears, it's time to consider if you've gone over the edge in a relentless pursuit. So workaholism, perfectionism, or addiction to certainty, or a person even, may be your current vice. Let go of your excessive energy by channeling it in more than one direction. Now is a time for surrender and radical acceptance, so that your drive does not cause you to flee or flight. Spirit wants you to release your need for certainty and control. Banish the shoulds and musts so that you can enjoy what is as you allow for what might be. So this again is again about, trying not to have the perfectionism and the, let go of sort of the need to control and banish the shoulds and the musts. So that's really a beautiful message if you think about your inner child who just wants you to play and to stop getting too stuck in the head and the shoulds and what you must do, and almost the programs of everything that that happens throughout our childhood. And then the last one was, to give me a little bit more info on this, what can help me, or what is the underlying, I want to dig a little bit deeper here, because these are all great, but they're still not really getting to why I'm feeling niggled. And this one is, as you look around you, can you sense the magic that pulses through the world? Have you witnessed how every thought can become a thing, how every intention can call the universe into action, as the sacred laws shape what you experience? When you align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with spirit, you will want to crow with delight, feeling the excitement and wonder of being in harmony with something much larger than yourself. So here, have you witnessed how every thought can become a thing? So if I'm worrying about money, so I would go here, well, what is it that I could? And with it being a crow, crows like shiny things. So I could then start almost going, okay, well, is this something to do with material things? And then I might have gone the route of money. So I'm just trying to illustrate how the connection can be made. So even though they're very different cards, and one is the tarot and one is animals, you can kind of get the same message from this. And obviously, these cards will speak to me completely differently if I was doing shadow work in 3 or 4 weeks' time, or 10 years' time, when I'm working on something else. So you've really just got to allow the cards to speak to you. What is almost the first thing that comes up from any of these images, or from any of the words that you see? The first thing that comes up, you go with that. You don't overthink what you're looking at here. You almost just go with very basic things or thoughts or feelings that the cards are evoking. So yeah, and this is also Crow Spirit says you're right on target to see your dreams magically come into being. The laws of abundance, compensation, frequency, and praise are operating in your favor right now. Remember to be grateful and praise what is yours, even if it is still coalescing into form, still residing in the invisible realm of co-creation. No matter what area of your life you're concerned with now, what you hope for is on the way. So this is again telling me to not worry about things, because we all know when we worry about things, we push them away. So as I say, very quick, it's a very simple thing, but as I say, it was really, really hard hitting. When I pulled out this card, it was only then that it struck me, and that I then put the last month back into being, and that I was subconsciously worrying about, well, why haven't I had more clients? But as I've said, if I'm really honest with myself, I've really needed this break the past 3 weeks. It's been pretty intense, and I've been dealing with lots of things. And, so this just tells me really to be mindful of my thoughts. So that really is the way that I use the cards. I do hope you've enjoyed, and please feel free to reach out with any questions. I'll try to answer them. And maybe if I can do, if I come across any other things that I'm using shadow for that aren't too personal or that don't implicate anybody that I have in my life, then I'll be able to share them. But I do hope that you found that useful. Have a magical day.